Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. It's Thursday, May 18th. Ron DeSantis is in the news. Now, for those not following, and I don't blame you if you're not following, Ron DeSantis is pushing an anti-woke agenda. I know. What a surprise. I'll knock you over with a feather. And part of the new session in the Florida Congress, he wants to pass legislation that would prevent the pension funds for teachers and police officers and such, firefighters I'm assuming as well, from being invested in quote-unquote woke companies. This is a bad idea. The whole point of a pension is to get a high return of investment at the lowest risk possible for the people that are contributing to the pension. That's the ideal situation. And parking the political rhetoric aside, that's what you're supposed to do with a pension. But there's news out that DeSantis and his cronies have moved money out of index funds into private equity funds managed by donors to Ron DeSantis's re-election campaign and to the Republican Governors Association. What's worse is that these funds have high fees. Okay, so now, and that's horrible. So let me back up. As somebody who's invested in his 401k since his mid-20s or so, you may not be familiar with all these terms. I'll explain them to you. When you have an investment like a mutual fund, there are expenses that are associated with that mutual fund. The electricity to power the building, the leases, all the salaries of the employees there, plus, all the work and research that they're doing, yada, yada, yada. You get the idea. There's money associated with running that fund. Now, in the case of an index fund, it's a fund that mimics like the S&P 500. And all that is the 500 largest companies in the US, and it's reevaluated on a quarterly basis. There's almost no work involved because you only have to do work for like a week out of the quarter to sell the old stuff and buy the new stuff so that it aligns with the S&P 500 in the same ratios. So it's not a whole lot of work. Therefore, the fees that they charge you for this fund are minimal. We're talking like 0.1%. So if you have $1 million in this fund, it's going to be more than that, obviously, or let's say $1 million. This is a nice round number. 10% of that is 100,000. 1% of that is 10,000. 0.1% is $1,000. So this $1 million fund only spends $1,000 a year to pay for the management of the fees, which means you get to keep all the rest of the profit that you get out of that fund. Okay, but what's happening here is that they're using private funds, and private funds have what they call loads or fees that they charge. This might be like 5% or 6%. Now, your $1 million fund, that's $50,000, $60,000 you're paying to this investment company to manage your $1 million fund. And we're not talking million, we're talking $1 billion, apparently, is the amount of money that's been moved. There's $10 billion in their retirement funds. And the rumor I heard was like it was about $1 billion. So again, $1 billion, that would be it'd be $1 million for the index fund, or it's going to be something like 50 million, whatever. It's hard to do the math at this point. 5% of $1 billion is $50 billion. $1 million versus, $1 million versus 50 million. So it's a huge chunk that you've lost to pay these guys to manage your funds. It's corruption. It's quid pro quo all over again. And apparently these funds are underperforming the S&P 500 index fund. 90% of the funds that are privately managed do underperform the index fund. Index funds are great. Low cost, high return. You don't have to beat the market. It is the market. Okay, so that's the skinny. Now on to the reading, 5 minutes in. But, you have to kind of understand what's going on so that you understand what's happening here. Okay, so what's the current situation with DeSantis? in these mutual funds. What's going on behind the scenes? Is this as corrupt as it seems, or is this just an innocent, honest investment? I think the whole woke thing is his smokescreen to allow him to pull that money out of those companies and then funnel it to his cronies. He probably gets kickbacks too, for entertainment purposes only. Because why wouldn't he want to kick back? If they're going to make $50 million, they can kick a couple million his way. You know, got to dip your beak in there. Quote The Godfather. Okay, so what's this situation with DeSantis and these pension funds and his buddies that he's giving it? Betrayal. He is betraying the pensioners of Florida. This is an absolute betrayal to them, and he's got a plan. This isn't an accident. This is a planned betrayal, very carefully planned. That's why he's got the messaging out that he's moving it from woke companies, because that gives him the smoke screen to sell it, and he convinces people he's doing in their best interest because woke people, and then he's going to move it over to his friends, and then he will get his kickbacks, and the wheels get greased. In the past, we've got the Page of Cups. This is taking advantage of the fact of distraction. This, again, is the anti-woke campaign, distracting people. Hey, don't look at the fish in the cup here. You don't look at the fish in the cup here. Don't look at all the money that's going on in the background. Just keep your eye on the fish. Current situation. Uh-oh. We got problems. Part of the problems is that the stock market is down. It's not been doing well. Since the basically Russians' invasion of Ukraine, the stock market has tanked severely. And him moving money over to these funds that are underperforming the S&P 500, this is going to cause all sorts of problems for the pensions, and this is going to cause all sorts of problems for DeSantis. This could very well be his undoing. I think other readers have seen financial issues bringing that man down, and this could very well be it. This is a tower moment. This is a bad idea. Thing to learn from that: strength, mastery. You know, it looks like she's trying to give this lion the medicine. He's not strong. He's weak, and he's trying to get away with his shenanigans, but there's some resistance that, yeah, that's what it is. That lion is resisting the medication that's being forced down its throat. He's trying to, here, anti-woke pill, take it. And the lion doesn't like it. I think you're going to start getting a lot of protests from the pensioners, the police department, the fire department, the teachers, the government employees who all kick into this pension when they're starting to find out what's going on here and what the returns are looking like. And the alarms are raised because now you're messing with people's money, their future, their livelihood, their retirement. Ooh, they don't get happy when you do that. Lesson to be learned: the emperor. Just because you want it to happen doesn't mean it needs to happen that way. You are an elected official, not a ruler. And he's going to find that out. Right now, he thinks he rules. And if you look at all his things with Disney and everything, all that stuff that's going on, he just wants to be a ruler. Little mini Hitler. Outcome: judgment. Oh, the people are waking up, and this is going to be basically, this is a tower moment. This is going to be in his undoing. It may not happen before the election, but I think he will not be reelected, and this is going to be a key reason why. And underneath it all is his messaging. This is him going forward again with his anti-woke messaging. So let's look at the whole reading again. There's an absolute betrayal of trust, and it's a planned betrayal of trust because he's going forward with his messaging of anti-woke investments, but really what he's doing is he's giving the money to his buddies so he can line his pockets as well as theirs. What's going on in the past? He's just distracting people with weird stuff so if they're not paying attention what's going on. But this is going to be his absolute undoing because people are going to realize that he's messing with their livelihood, with things that's really important to them. and that they're going to realize that he's been acting, just because he acts like a ruler doesn't mean he gets to rule. He's elected, and because he's elected, it means he can be unelected. Okay, so that's what's going on with DeSantis and the pensioners. I think I'm just going to leave the reading at that. I hope you enjoyed this reading. And for the folks that have pensions in Florida, good luck. I'd get angry. I'd be protesting. I'd be writing to whoever I would write to your unions, demand that money be invested properly, as opposed to being forced into his buddies' mouths. You want it back where it belongs, because your livelihood depends on it. And if these funds go bad, so does your livelihood. Your pension's less, which means you have to work more. And who wants to work more? Not me, and probably not them. Have a good night, and I'll catch you on the next reading. Take care.